rail link to France gave rise to a lot of speculative development in Kent, in advance of that coming in, and so similar things like that have happened in Poland. So yes, the answer to your question, Jan, is we've been looking at that as part of our investment strategy. So
Are there a lot of people? Are there a lot of rivals for this sort of business, or is it still fairly sparse on the ground?
No, I think it's pretty sparse. When you talk about the 90% of the current market being dominated by international players, my anecdotal assessment of that is that they're all targeting the major cities. They tend not to go to the secondary cities, which, given the strength of the Polish economy, I think is a mistake, because these secondary cities are growing. Not all of them are growing at the same rate clearly as Warsaw is. In fact, none of them are growing at the same rate as Warsaw, but they are growing. And a lot of good opportunities are passed by not analysing them. While I'm on that, I've got a question for you, if I may, at the National Bank of Poland. You mentioned that 90% of the transaction volumes are down to foreign buyers. One of the biggest causes of credit crunches in Western Europe has been the overexposure of the banking sector to commercial property. If you look at any credit crunch over the last 40, 50 years, commercial property is at the heart of all the causes. There's been a dramatic increase in the volume of purchases of commercial property in Poland. So in a sense, the NBP is for the first time having to look at its own banking sector with a sort of commercial property hat on. It's not something you've had to do prior to 2004. Even though 90% of the transactions can be attributed to foreigners, what proportion of those transactions are financed by either subsidiaries of international banks or local banks? And what steps is the NBP taking to monitor what is currently a healthy banking sector but may become overexposed to overpriced commercial property, and which may in due course lead to a local credit crunch caused by the commercial property sector?
Well, this is a good and a very broad question. And on the last slide, I have basically some relevant publications